I have a question I want to kaypoh a bit. Do you have like a love life?
Decided that fire really isn't my thing already.
He has reached the goal that many Singaporeans will probably never be able to achieve in their life.
But I don't believe in crypto. Wait, not. I think I just stepped into a minefield. Right, like I want to pay $500 to hear Kelvin sing song for me.
Welcome back to another episode of the Backholder Pod. So today with us, it's another special guest, which is Seth from Satisfy Personal Finance. So I think
Hi.
for those of you who don't actually know, Seth actually have his own YouTube channel as well, and he also runs his own personal website. And I think at that peak, he was actually holding 3 separate jobs. So I think in this specific podcast itself, let's try to investigate how he actually did it, and to also push the envelope and to understand a little bit more about Seth himself. So maybe before we actually begin, right, I think I just wanted to kind of run through the audience, like what's your current content creation journey and how it all started, your YouTube, your website, etc.
Right. Actually started it as a personal blog. I wanted somewhere to write my thoughts, even talk about politics. Oh, lucky I didn't go there. Yeah, but then I realized my personal finance things, because I was very interested in personal finance, those caught more attention, more people were reading it. So I decided, okay, let's do it as a, finance blog lah. Yeah. So yeah, that's how it started. And then in 2020, I think what happened was I kept trying to get AdSense, Google AdSense to approve my account. Then on the 1st of January 2020, they approved it. And I was like, hey, new year, right? They approved my account. Let's do it more seriously. Yeah.
So it actually started much earlier than all of us.
1st Jan 2020. I thought your YouTube was also around the same time, right?
I only got approved like October 2020.
No, mine was the blog first.
Blog.
Yeah.
Then actually, I was asking, right? So can you maybe also talk a little bit more about how the whole journey transpired into you starting your own business and then suddenly you're holding 3 jobs and then you burn out and stuff like that. Yeah. I think it was a whole character development phase, right, on your YouTube channel.
Yeah. I think for myself, I do this thing called productive procrastination. Yeah, I didn't know it was called productive procrastination until I saw what Ali Abdal, the YouTuber, talked about. He talked about it on his YouTube. So basically, when I am very bored with something, I'm going to do something else. Instead of wasting time, I will say, okay, let me do something else that's more productive instead. So I think the blog was started because I was a bit sian of my, my tuition, a bit burnt out. So I started my website and then it started to grow, right? So I just continued doing it. Yeah, then after that, I became also a bit burnt out because I was still doing my tuition. That was still my main thing. Then a job offer came along. Yeah, then I went to do that also. Yeah, so I think I'm just someone who's a bit restless. I want to do more things. So that one thing lead to another. Yeah, so website, then I started YouTube to compete with Kelvin because I saw his numbers doing very well. So I had to start my YouTube. Then through my YouTube, my boss found my video, offered me a job. I was like, okay, interesting. Let me go and try. So yeah, one thing led to another, I would say.
So right now you're still doing 3 jobs, right?
I would say two and a half lah. Website and YouTube is 1. I think maybe can 1.5 lah because YouTube takes a lot of effort. Website also takes a lot of effort. Full-time job, that one is one job on its own. My tuition I actually reduced it to 1 day. Now every Saturday I teach from morning to evening lah. So that one half a job. Yeah, half a job lah. Yeah. So 2 to 3 jobs now, I would say.
I have a question I want to kaypoh a bit. Do you have like a love life? Because people at around this kind of age are like busy, like Chiking, he's very busy factoring. Like Eric, he's busy attending to his wife. Same for me. But what about you?
Yeah, I'm 35 already, right? 35 is the age where the government thinks lost cause already. Let them buy HDB on their own, right? Under singles BTO. Yeah, so no, don't have it. Yeah, I think I've been single for more than a decade already. So I realized that isn't something that has worked out for me so far. So I just decided to concentrate on my work life. Yeah.
Was it kind of a deliberate choice, or was it just a byproduct of because you being productive procrastination?
Not really a conscious decision lah. At least not my choice lah. Other people's choice lah. Yeah, but I just didn't work out. Then I didn't really go and pursue it. So every now and then I use Tinder, but then like very waste time, it doesn't really appeal to me. Then I just thought, okay, whatever happens, happens. Yeah, so I just keep working on what I can control, which is like my work stuff. Yeah, so that part didn't, nothing has really happened.
Actually, technically, Eric is also a competitor. I think you guys might teach different subjects. So
Right.
Eric also runs his own tuition business as well. So
Oh.
I'm not too sure whether you teach chemistry or not. Just a quick plug for Mr. Chemistry here.
I used to teach multiple subjects. When we were starting out there, we had to do anything, right? Take any student that walks through the door. Yeah, so I was teaching English, chemistry, and maths at one point, but now I focused on mathematics.
So okay, not my competitor. We can continue the interview.
Can. I refer chem students to you, you refer math student to me.
Nice. Fuck each other.
Mm.
I'm just curious, like you were saying that the tuition job you did, right? At the first part, you said that you burned out doing tuition job. Like I'm just wondering how fierce were you doing it? If you like it, morning to night, then burn out.
I started the business in 2015 with my partner. So we were running it. We were the tutors as well. So we were teaching 7 days a week. So for a few years of my life, I was really just teaching 7 days a week. Gradually reduced to 6 days to 5 days. But after a while, I realized tuition is quite a emotionally laborious thing because you're dealing with a lot of kids and then they're pretty young, they don't really know what's good for them yet. So you have to nag at them, you have to scold them sometimes. Well, after a while, I just felt a bit tired, a bit burnt out from the whole thing. Yeah, but it was also maybe because I was working 7 days a week for a few years.
Which level were you teaching, may I know?
Mostly secondary school. Sec 1 to Sec 4. Yeah.
Still need a little bit of nagging, yeah.
So it's like the parents force the kid to come, then you have to like brainwash the kid to study.
Actually, secondary school, I think a bit challenging because they are of this age where they have their own thoughts, right? Own independent thinking and all. But at the same time, you have to get them to buy into learning from you. Because we live in an age where they start to see people earn money through YouTube, earn money through TikTok. They will ask you, what's the point of learning Trigo? No point. I'm never going to use Trigo in my life. Yeah, those sort of things. So yeah, quite challenging. I think nowadays not easy being a parent also. Yeah.
I think I saw this meme. It's like they show a photo of a fat guy, right? Then they show a girl, show a photo of the fat guy. Then they tell the son, son, if you don't study hard, the girl that you like will go after this fat guy because the fat guy is rich, ma.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, that's what we were sold, right? Like study hard, then you get a degree, get a good job, and then you have settled your your life, your career path. But now it's very different, Now people, without degrees, without much, go on YouTube, go and or something like whatever. We live in a gig economy now, right? Even Grab delivery people, they're saying, oh, I'm earning 6-7K, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think the relevance of academic studies is a bit people start to wonder whether it's still relevant now.
Like if they really ask you, so what's the point of learning Trigo? What would your answer be though?
Okay, the answer that I've come up with is that, okay, all these subjects, they are there to design they are designed to train you on a particular thought process, right? They want you to see whether you can handle certain problems, and then you can apply this kind of problem solving skills to other things in your life. And also to give you a more, broad level of skills and then foundation that you can build on and specialize in future. So you are not sure what you want to do now, right? But in future, you might want to be a scientist, for example. Then Trigo becomes more important, right? Then your literature, your humanities, not that important. But let's say next time you want to be a lawyer, and then English language becomes more important and things like that. So it's there to give you a foundation before you know what you want to do.
Then what happens if I want to be a TikTok star?
You want to be a TikTok star? Then I will show you statistics how many people actually become a TikTok star, right? So yeah, you can try if you want to, and if you make it, that's good for you. But if you don't, you need something to fall back on. I think this is a very stereotypical answer I can give Then usually they buy it right? Usually they buy it. Then the smarter ones, I don't know whether they buy it or not, but yeah.
So then actually I wanted to kind of pivot the entire discussion now to your personal journey, right? So now we know that you have your own tuition business, you have your YouTube channel, your blog, and then you are with Providence as well. So then, because I'm an avid consumer of your channel as well, so I'm just trying to kind of figure it out. So do you like kind of have an end goal on like what are you expecting or like within the next 5 to 10 years? Do you have something that you have a core focus on, or you're just gonna just keep being productive every day, grinding the hours in your expertise? Just wanted to kind of understand a little bit more about yourself.
I think I don't really have an end goal. I used to think that I wanted to fire, right? I wanted to retire early, go and see the world, right? Then I realized that I actually quite enjoy doing whatever I'm doing. So there's no realistic situation where I just, okay, I'm going to stop my YouTube, I'm going to stop my website, I'm going to stop my day job, and then just go and, you know, do nothing. Because I realized that being productive actually is what makes me happy, right? When I'm creating things, when I'm doing things of, that I feel productive in, I feel happy. Yeah, so I think I don't really have an end goal. So I've decided that fire really isn't my thing really. Yeah, so I actually just, y'all watch Dark Knight, right? The Joker, what do you say? Like the dog chasing cars, right? Like even when he chased the car, he don't even know what's going to happen next. So I think I'm somewhat like that. Once I reach my goal, I'm like, okay, what's next? You know, find a new goal to go and pursue.
I think in a way, Seth actually avoided the trap that many Singaporeans are facing right now. It's like Singaporeans, they're married, they have a kid. Then when that happens, they have to have a house. They need to have a stable job. Then they can't really run away from that. But for Seth, he avoided the whole thing altogether. Then now it's like he has reached the goal that many Singaporeans will probably never be able to achieve in their life. That's kind of sad, but it's quite true. Like traveling around the world, no, not around the world, traveling around Asia, like not many people can do it, right? But Seth has done it in just, it's like traveling every month right now. Because you don't have
I actually a bit careful though on this traveling part, because I think before we actually hit the record button, we were talking about his trips, right? So I want to kind of know, like for Providence, they allow for you to just work from anywhere, is it? Like if you want to take a 1 month break or you want to go Bali for 1 month, they allow for this sort of arrangements.
Yeah, Providence, I would say, is a pretty progressive company. I mean, I joke with my boss, I said, y'all are like a boomer company, but y'all appeal to, y'all try to pander to millennials. Yeah, so they have this work from anywhere scheme where you can just request for it and then go overseas and work remotely. Because I'm client facing, so it's a bit more difficult for me to go for a month. So I usually go 2 weeks at a time. And I find that actually 2 weeks just nice. Anything longer than that, sometimes it gets a bit lonely overseas. Yeah.
From that perspective, so you're saying you're client facing. Basically you're like an advisor, right? So I presume that you're kind of licensed, right? Has it been hindering any parts of your, because you're also in the finance space, being a creator as well? Has there been any issues in terms of like regulations or what you can say and what you cannot say? Just a curious question.
So far, I would say from my point of view, it's a bit gray. I think there's no actual regulation on what can or cannot be said. But at the same time, I think if you are promoting a certain product, then it gets a bit more sensitive because it becomes like a recommendation, right? Yeah, especially one that's MAS regulated. Like if you say, oh, this insurance plan, it's very good, you should go and buy or something like that. Yeah, that becomes a little bit more iffy. But again, there's no clear, I don't think there's any clear regulation on that. Yeah, but anyway, most of the time I'm not promoting certain products. I'm telling people not to buy certain products. So in that sense, I think so far I've treaded quite well. But of course, if there's any issue, then my company and I will have to see how to navigate those kind of issues.
I follow up. So like CPF, you made a video talking about why you don't top up to CPF. While on the other hand, people like Mr. Lu and Chris are like showing off their CPF FRS, like how. So wouldn't it be in your best interest to show that CPF is a good product, at least to your clients, so that they can do the same too?
Best interest to show my client. Why is that so?
Like, let's say, okay, because CPF is a good retirement planning tool, and you are in that kind of business. So then if you don't do it yourself, then how can you recommend that to other people?
I think for me personally, I only recommend things that I believe in and will personally do. So my view is that I'm not against topping up CPF. It's just that I analyzed it and I realized that for myself, I don't have the conviction to do it. And therefore, I tell people, oh, these are the reasons why I'm not doing it. And maybe you might find it relevant also. Yeah, I mean, some people say, yeah, you know, they resonate with the video, but some people say, no, I prefer the top up. So I don't think it's not advice also lah. To me, it's just sharing, okay, what I think is the best practice. You want, you follow, you don't want, then you don't follow lah. You can go and follow Chris or you know, Mr. Lu, who are champions of topping up CPF. Yeah, for me, I'm still very undecided. Like, I think, or rather, I'm more on the fence. I don't want to top up. I mean, I already have mandatory CPF contributions. In fact, I can choose to lower it lah, because, you know, I think I exceeded there's a cap, right? Yeah, but I just go ahead with it lah. Just top up whatever is mandatory. Then yeah, the rest I'm not going to do extra lah.
Then to follow up, what are your thoughts on the like overall Finfluencer space? Because in January there was that whole hoo-ha about Finfluencer going on. I think recently there's another new article about it again. Yeah, what are your thoughts about it? Like, should Finfluencers, I know your boss mentioned that Finfluencers should be regulated, but not by MS. It should be regulated by IMDA.
Advertising lah. I think he said something like that. I think there needs to be a little bit of regulation. Of course, I have vested interest lah. For me as Finfluencer, I wouldn't want any regulation. But I think there needs to be a certain, maybe some guidelines, some industry best practices, right? Someone to come in and tell us, hey, what's more appropriate, what's not appropriate. Because right now it's very gray. I think it's quite gray. What's allowed. I think the only regulation is we can't promote crypto exchange or something like that, right? There was some ruling. But I don't believe in crypto. I think I just stepped into a minefield. As in, personally, my own investments, I don't touch crypto, and therefore I don't actually recommend it to my viewers lah. So I am not very aware of that rule. But that's the only one rule that I think we have. And I think it would be better if we have certain guidelines on what we can or cannot do. Yeah. But other than that, I think,
On that topic, right, in terms of your own personal portfolio and exposure, can you like generally say like in terms of percentages wise, do you currently just all hold indexes or how do you position your portfolio?
Yeah, I think overwhelmingly is passive index funds. Then I do have like my for fun portfolio, you know, my own Mumu, Tiger, Weibo apps that I used to trade on a discretionary basis lah. So if I do safer companies like Apple and I buy a little bit of those, you know, hot stocks like Tesla and ARK K I think last year, because my belief is that when I buy something, it will always go down, right? If I make an active call to buy something. So I see people like Kelvin buy a lot of Tesla. I'm like, okay, let me go and disturb him. I go and buy a little bit of Tesla to see what happens.
When do you buy, please? Let us know when you buy.
Oh, I think I was at $600.
You should buy Alibaba now.
Do it.
Okay, I'll just buy like 1 or 2 shares, just enough to let it go down.
Margin call, margin call.
Yeah, but largely in index passive. I don't believe in active investing. Yeah, I think I think very few people can beat the market, and few people can beat the market in the long run. So why go through all that effort, you know, to trade when I can just buy and, you know, buy every month without even thinking about it? Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on like a goal or I know that you say that you don't believe in crypto, right? Like the whole idea of Bitcoin or gold, right? Do you foresee that will you have any probability of owning a little bit of them in your overall asset allocation?
Actually, I have to clarify. Actually, I do believe in cryptocurrency, right? I do believe that in future we would move towards cryptocurrency. But the question is which one, right? Which coin will actually, I think is going to be a 1 or 2 coin dominate the whole space kind of thing. But we do not know which coin yet. So there's no point in me trying to bet on a horse that, you know, there are 100 horses running this race, and I really have no idea who will win, right? Yeah. So in my mind, I feel that when it's clearer, when it's clearer that there's a certain dominant one that will be the de facto coin of choice, then I would perhaps have some exposure to it now. Of course, I'll miss all the upside, right? But I think I'm okay with missing all the upside because I don't think we need to capture everything in the market. Yeah. So I think to answer your question, gold, I thought of having gold in physical form, like to really hedge against any doomsday scenario where we have to pay with gold coins. But so far, no, I don't think my portfolio is that big to diversify to that extent also. Yeah.
Wait. When you say big, right? We have to quantify how big is big. Because some people like this is considered big. Some people, like this. You must tell us how big it's big.
That one I will reserve. I will reserve for my own YouTube channel. I'll review it there for my own views.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, Seth is already diversified. He don't need gold to diversify because he already has property like condo, right? None of us have condo. Okay, Eric will have a few condos soon.
When do you buy the condo?
2020. Yeah, 3 years.
Oh, during the COVID time, you bought?
It was right before COVID.
Right.
Yeah, I paid the OTP and the deposit right around the time it started becoming a thing. February, I think I started the process in November 2019. Then I completed in February 2020. Yeah.
So when you buy the condo, right, it does mean that you have no intention of buying a HDB because you were single, right? Once you get the condo, you're locked in as like a private property buyer. So it means that your opinion is that you will not go into HDB ever.
No, the funny story is my calculation at that time was, okay, I was 31, 32. So I thought, okay, buy already. 3 years later, I can avoid the seller's stamp duty, sell it, and then buy resale or BTO at that time, but most probably resale. So I was a few months away from hitting the 35 mark and as well as the 3-year mark to avoid seller's stamp duty. Then of course the government came in and said, okay, downgraders now cannot, right? You need 15-month waiting period. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, whatever, like cannot really. Yeah.
So heck, you just kept the thing.
Yeah, and I refinanced at a quite attractive rate. So basically, the rate is very low compared to right now. Yeah. So yeah, no harm just staying in this place for a couple of years. But I also been looking at other places to move to be honest. I've been property searching also.
Why would you want to downgrade? What's wrong with the current house?
Not downgrade, like shifts elsewhere, shift closer to my workplace. Yeah.
Kelvin, why you assume he want to downgrade? He looking for landed, can or not?
No,
no, just now you were saying condo to
Mr. Loose
resale.
neighbor. No, that was the original plan. And then they came out with the 15-month waiting time, which basically prevents me from downgrading. Unless I really sell and then I rent or I move back to my parents, which I don't think are attractive options. Sorry, mom and dad, if you're watching this. Yeah, so it's either stay put or find another condo to buy. So I'm looking at condos now.
To buy and like sell this one?
Yeah, so sell this place, then buy another place.
Buy another one.
You sponsor my ABSD, then I can.
No, so what was the reason that you said you wanted to change the condo?
The reason is the look. Okay, because when I was 30, 31, location isn't the best, right? So I bought what I could afford. So now I'm trying to find some place, I think, with a more convenient location, maybe with better resale prospects in the future. Yeah, this to me was always a starter home. So I just buy to check off a milestone, stay alone. Then now that I am out of the 3-year period, and then I now have 3 jobs, got a bit more buying power. Time to maybe look at the market and see, whether there's something better. But of course now the prices are also crazy. So yeah, just see free one look at property.
Buy already, not free already.
But window shopping right now is window shopping.
I know you and Chris from Providence are very against ILP. Do you really feel that there's no benefit at all to ILP?
Actually, I think we are not against ILP. It's just that personally speaking, okay, I don't want to answer on behalf of Chris, right? So I would state my own opinion that I'm not super against ILP. It's just that I have not seen an ILP that achieves better outcomes for the person buying it. Yeah. So because the way I see it is, when you go to McDonald's and you buy a meal, right? You expect the meal to be cheaper than buying the burger, the fries, and the drinks separately, right? But the thing is, people found out that you can actually have better outcomes when you buy the so-called burger and fries separately, right? Like you might have heard of buy term, invest the rest. Yeah. So that is actually what's happening in the financial world. It is quite strange when you buy this meal, so-called meal, it tends to have more fees. And it turns out you can actually buy cheaper burger, so-called, and fries when you buy them separately. So there's really no real advantage, I would feel. So I personally wouldn't buy an ILP because to me, I can now buy my burger from company X because they have the best burger, and then fries from company Y because they have the best fries. And then I realized, I actually don't need a drink. I just go without the drink. Yeah, so I realized that this is a better way to manage your investment and insurance, for me personally speaking. Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to say, right, one of the first videos that I watched from you was actually your ILP video, because I'm currently kind of in the stage where like everybody just graduate, then all your insurance agent friends will start knocking on your doors. It's a phase of life then. So then I was also kind of just researching and really doing a little bit of due diligence in a way. Then it's quite interesting because I think at least for this current phase, like us, what do you call us, Gen Zs, all of us can Google, we are very in tune with our own stuff. So even if you are not financially literate, you can just Google the product, and then you have so many people reviewing on like Seedly and whatever. So then it becomes I don't know, I can feel like there is a lot of negativity in that space of ILP. But it does seem like it's a very hot product that was pushed to many of my friends as well. So then I can't really reconcile the whole idea of like the financial advisory space and why is something like that happening or transpiring.
I would say that okay, it is not totally without merit because there is a saying that insurance is sold and not bought, right? Very few people will actually go out and I want to buy insurance, I want to invest. I mean, it's getting better right now with Finfluencers like Kelvin, right? And I think just financial knowledge being better in general, I think people start to seek out such products, but largely people are still reliant on agents going out to sell the product. So if there's no, if the commission is not attractive, actually people won't really go and sell it to their friends, family, or customers on the street. Yeah, so I think the merit, and I'm not being sarcastic, is that really having such products at least ensure that there is investment and insurance products being sold to people who might not do it themselves. And also there is a argument to be made that some people just cannot invest themselves, right? When they invest, they invest per month, and then when the stock market crash, they panic, right? And then they stop because when you buy a unit trust or you buy an ETF or whatever, it's entirely up to you to stop or continue. Yeah, so such people, if an ILP forces them to stay vested, maybe that's the best approach for them, But I think if you can, if you are someone who research yourself, you go online and do this kind of thing, then I think you can do much better without locking yourself into such a commitment.
Previously, when I was younger, right, like when I just started working like Chiking, right, so I bought an ILP also because my insurance agent asked me like, oh, so do you want to better protect yourself, everything? Then I say, yeah. Would you like to also have investment growing for you at the same time? Yeah. Then these two, ILP for you. They're like, oh, so good. So and I have insurance. I also have investment that's growing along the way. Because you say when you're young, the insurance cost is very low, so you can pump like more to build up the units. Then when you're older, you have a lot of units, right? Then slowly you pay the higher mortality rate, and then you pay down. Then after that, you reach like very, very old, which is very, very far away. You don't have to think about it now. So that's when you might need to top up. So that time I was like 27. And I'm like, wow, sounds good. I pay like $300 over. Oh, I can do so many things.
Bao ka liao.
Bao ka liao, right? Like, wow, shook, man. I don't even have to pay like 2K like my old foggy friends. So I just buy that. I buy already, right? Fast forward about I think 7 to 8 years later, I think I was about 34, thereabouts, 34, 35. Then I revisited the portion, right? Then I was reading the statement, and I saw that, wow, the savings portion, right, is like, there was one part that says that if you surrender it now, right, there's nothing, you get nothing. And then technically, based on the premiums that I have paid, right, I would make a loss of don't know how many $1,000. Then I was like, as invested in this for 8 years, you mean the unit that I stored up is like the premiums I paid is like about 20 over 1,000, like over those years. And then the surrender value, right, of those units is only about 18,000, something like that. Something I still make a loss of few $1,000. I was asking my agent, like, how come like that? Like, I keep investing for so many years. I thought the units were built up to a break-even point. Like, how long does it take? Then he looked at me and told me, it takes about 10 years to break even. And after that, you start growing now. Don't worry. They're like 10 years just to break even. Then I thought to myself, like every year I pump in like about 300 plus a month, right? Like every year will be about 3,006 a year. I'm thinking like, wow, 3,006 a year. Then I still need to pump in another 2-3 more years. Then I break even. I earn nothing.
Yeah.
I think to myself, wow, this is sunk cost fallacy. Then I like, okay, so I reasoned to myself like, okay, I just cut loss now, lose that few $1,000, and I buy my term insurance. So that time I was a little bit more acquainted with all the, like what you say, I dissect the investment part with the insurance part, and then I say, I buy the term, the rest I invest. At least I know what I'm getting, right? I'm not like creamed off in the middle. So that's what I did. I surrendered the policy, and then after that I went to see online, right, all the remarks, commentary, and everything. Then I realized that there are people like yourself that already said that, hey, this ILP cannot work. Then I'm like, oh, I didn't go and research, and then I just bought it for like so many years. And then I see there are people who hold it for like 15, 20 years. And then they are now stuck in a place where their units, right, is not going to be enough because their mortality rate is rising, the cost to insure them. So now they have to top up. And if they surrender like me, right, because that time I was still quite young 30s. If those people surrender now is in their 40s, right, their insurance cost, even if term, is very high. So it's like, it's going to be a very hard thing for them to do. So my question to you is, right, what would you suggest to people like that are like stuck for 15, 20 years? And then like, do you think they should still cut and go term? Because it's still going to be a very high cost.
Okay, it's a very, very big question. Okay, the thing about ILP is that it has a lot of different variants. So, like a Happy Meal, yes, burger, drink, and fries. But some ILPs are almost 100% investment. Some of the older ILPs are very heavy on insurance part. So if you your plan sounds like the second type, which is more heavy on insurance, which that one actually out of style already, right? Very few are still selling this kind of product. But those kind of products are basically a bundled buy term invest the rest product. So you are describing the rising assurance cost. So that's like it's called a yearly renewable term, right? So every year it will increase in premium according to your age, and then it's pegged on to investments. So in the ILP's defense, okay, I would say that the reason we are seeing that there's it takes 10 years to break even is because your insurance costs are also inside, right? When you pay $300, you think, oh, I'm investing $300, but it's not quite true, You are also having to pay for insurance costs. And of course, you have to pay the agents fees, right? The distribution costs, right? Nobody works for free, so we have to pay them. So the reason why it looks like it has not broken even is because this is not 100% investment, right? When we invest, okay, you use your whatever trading app to invest. Yeah, I wouldn't name trading apps because in my video, just now I was sponsored by a particular app and then they say, oh, I have hidden agenda. Okay, you use whatever platform to buy an investment, all right, buy a share, buy ETF. There is no break-even point, right? Like you pay the fee, maybe point, however much percent it is. Yeah, then that is the so-called break-even amount that you need to overcome, right? Once you earn back the fee, that's it. So if you buy on the platform with no fees, you sell the same day, so-called break-even, right? Yeah. So that's how investments work. But when you bundle together, it's a lot more opaque, right? You can't really see how much goes. I mean, you can go and dig through the contract to see how much goes to investment insurance. But who reads those and who really understands? When you really read through 30 pages of those kind of things, right? So it seems like it's a bad investment, $300. Yeah, never break even. But it's because of the opaque nature of the product. So I would say that why it is a bad idea is also because there's no clarity, right, to the customer, which one is investment, which one is insurance. Second, the funds tend to be quite actively managed, high fees that will eat into your returns. And third, of course, like I said, distribution costs, which is the agent's commission and all. So all these are at the front of the policy. Agent commission at the front of policy, policy fees, the fund fees are throughout the policy life. So it becomes very unclear, right? Everything you lump it into $300, and yeah, so it doesn't look like it's performing and all. So I would say that you are much better off doing it term and investments to begin with, right? You do it yourself, you separate the two, and it's much clearer, and you tend to have better outcomes. Now, for people who have locked themselves into this kind of commitment, I have mentioned in my video before, it is a sunk cost because whatever that you have bought and the fees that have incurred is already paid. The question is, moving forward, is your current plan going to be better for you? That means you stay put with the plan, or if you now hop up to somewhere else and buy your own term and investment, is that going to be better for you? So those are things that you can sort of mathematically calculate. Yeah, then you can make a decision which one is better. And I would say actually the rising assurance cost, to me, that's my favorite feature of the ILP. Okay, people say that I always flame ILP, never say the merits. But I really believe that the rising assurance cost is actually something good, which a lot of people think is bad. The reason why it's good is because when you're young, as you mentioned, you get your a low cost of insurance, right? So you get time value of money, you can have more towards investment. Then as you grow older, it goes up in premium, it goes up in cost to reflect the higher chance of claiming, right? But when you reach 50, 60, when you're nearing a retirement, and you don't really need that much income replacement, actually, you can sort of consider to reduce the assurance to zero. And most ILPs, they give you that feature. Yeah, so you will lose the protection, yes, but arguably you have reached a stage of your life where you actually don't need that much cover anymore. So a rising assurance model actually lets you play around like that, right? You get low cost when you're young, then when you're older, okay, terminate. But I think the problem is a lot of people expect this thing to protect whole of life, because it's so a certain way, yeah. So I think to make things clearer, you buy term that expires at 60. You know that it expires at 60, right? And then you invest, and you know that this amount is going to investment. You know how well it's performing and all. And then, yeah, you just have better outcomes when you separate them.
Steph, as a financial advisor yourself, like how do I even find an agent that is like very neutral? Okay, like for you, you are with Providence, so you
Go
sort
Providence.
of, yes,
Neutral.
but Providence serve high net worth clients, So let's say if I'm a fresh grad, right? Who can I go to? Because if I head to some MRT stations, agents from a certain company will definitely be selling you their company's insurance, They'll be saying theirs are the best. So is there any way to find agents who are like on your side and not trying to like earn as much commissions as possible?
I think this is a very big question also. And okay, again, my views are not Providence views. But of course, my views are quite aligned with Providence, which is why I joined them. I feel that the way to go is a fee-only model. And having been in both sides of the pond, I have been a commission agent myself. And it's not to say that commission agents are definitely unscrupulous and want to make the most out of you, but there's a clash of interest inherent in that model. And clash of interest works both ways, right? Because I found out myself that if I want to sell the good and very good solutions to my client, put their interest first, I earn nothing. I earn like less than $1,000 per month last time for 2-3 years when I was doing that.
Then you can ask them to sign up to Weibo.
Oh, that time don't have that time. Yeah, so
Just kidding.
yeah, so that time was I earned very little, and then yeah, so clash of interest, I realized it goes both ways. So commission model, unfortunately, there is inherent clash of interest. But of course, it's not to say that there are agents who manage to do it in a sustainable manner. And how to identify these agents, I can tell you honestly, I really don't know. Apart from the fact that the fresh grad have to go and learn yourself. You have to go online, do your own research, right? There are a lot of resources online. I mean, even 10, 15 years ago, there were a lot of forums sharing all this information. And now we have YouTube channels and we have TikTok channels, right? So the level of financial information, and I think the quality also is going up. So you just have to take some time, go online, go and research, and then make your own decision on whether your agent is someone who's taking care of your interest, or you just DIY. Yeah, I think it's very, no one cares about your money more than yourself, right? So you should do some homework. Do some homework. I think that's the number one thing I have for people who want to, help themselves financially. Yeah.
If let's say there is a loved one, right? Like let's say someone in your family that is quite adverse to buying insurance, right? I do have a friend like that. So I'm asking like for his benefit, like quite adverse to buying insurance. Like is there any insurance, right, that you die would advise them to buy? Even if let's say you're not an agent or whatnot, right? You're just like caring for a loved one, like, hey, just in case, there's one basic one that you should get. What would you recommend?
I think it highly depends on the situation, right? Highly depends on the situation. But I think most people agree that hospital plan, that's the bare minimum for start. Yeah, because MediShield Life is targeted to cover very basic coverage. So we tend to want to upgrade because healthcare costs in Singapore can be very, very high. So MediShield Life may not be adequate. So you can advise the person, okay, minimum, you use your MediSave to upgrade your hospital plan. That I think is the minimum anyone should do in Singapore. Yeah. Then beyond that, if he or she is someone that relies on the job for income, you need disability income insurance. Yeah, but these are general guidelines because I realize I'm going more and more into like personal finance advice, and it's very gray what I can say, what I cannot say. But my view, right, is that you need to cover your hospital plan. You need to cover your job. Like if you cannot work in your own job, that's a big financial risk. And then third, whether you have dependents, right? If you're gone, right, will your dependents need a coverage? So these are some typical cases to look out for. For me, I feel that insurance, you cover things that you cannot financially retain, right? So there's insurance that cover for phone drop, and some of my friends, they buy it. But actually phone, you spoil it, actually at most you just spend 1,000, replace it. So those kind of risks I will not transfer away. And only risks that are very financially big that I cannot cope on my own, then I transfer it by buying insurance. So that's my rule of thumb, generally speaking.
Okay, thanks. I just needed to clip that for my friend.
So you can tell them that if you don't transfer the risk to insurance, you're transferring it to your parents, you're transferring it to your dependents, you're transferring it to society at large. You have to try to do crowdfunding and all. Yeah, so the risk has to go somewhere. Some people say that buying insurance is like gambling. It's not true. Gambling creates a new risk, right? You put $1 on the roulette table, there's a risk that the dollar will go away. But insurance, you buy or don't buy, the risk is there. It's just what happens when the thing actually happens. Yeah.
I think maybe just to kind of like finish up the entire discussion, right? Because he was talking about it from the perspective of a FA, right? A financial advisor, right? Now, this is a personal question. I was quite curious. I think to transit back to being a Finfluencer, because you are also kind of part of the team, right? You're on our side as well.
Yeah.
I wanted to get your opinion. Yeah, I wanted to get your opinion on, because in terms of how we like you said, right? Nobody works for free, right? So there are a few models that we usually do. So advertising is a very big part. So advertising can come in the forms of AdSense and also sponsorships. So I think the sponsorship part, we kind of briefly touched on it. Then the other side of the curve is actually like selling digital products, offering their services. Some even have like, I don't know, personal advice, one-on-one calls and whatever. Just wanted to get your opinion on like, do you have intentions of doing it? And what's your whole take on this whole digital products, coaching and whatnot on the side from a creator perspective?
Yeah, actually, I don't have very strong feelings on that, because I feel that as long as the product is easy to understand, it's transparent, I don't have to look through 30 pages of very technical jargon to understand the product, then I think it's fair game, right? You want to sell course, you want to sell t-shirt, I mean, it's a willing buyer, willing seller situation, right? It's like, if you sell a course, it's like selling concert tickets, right? People pay top dollar to go see Blackpink, see J-Cho. And sometimes J-Cho, sound system not good, right? But at least it's a clear product. You are paying for something, and and if you want to sell a course, right? Like I want to pay $500 to hear Kelvin sing song for me, or tell me about his investing journey. That is, I think, is up to the buyer and the seller to decide whether it's fair or not. Yeah. So I don't have strong feelings about that. In fact, I did host a couple of talks before the pandemic started. I charged like $10 per ticket, that time. I thought it was fun, and yeah. So I don't have any strong opinions against or for these kind of things.
How come you're not doing that anymore? We want to attend.
Okay, not doing
over it already. He more expensive now, inflation adjusted.
Yeah, because I think that when you put a dollar amount to something, there is certain expectation. Then there's certain you have to deliver right? Like, if I'm J-Cho, I'll feel quite bad people pay hundreds of dollars, then I half the time I let my guests sing, and the other half of the time the sound system is not very, very good. Yeah, so I think for me personally, I'm not against hosting a course, but I will really have to make sure that it's of a certain quality. And at this time, with 2 to 3 jobs, I don't have the bandwidth to go and do something like that for now.
Once again, thanks, Seth, so much for coming on the channel. For those of you who haven't checked out his channel, we'll leave the link in the description below. I've forgotten to say, please smash the cute little like button. We'll edit this part into the front part, post-edit. Yeah, thank you guys once again for clicking on the subscribe button and tuning in every week. Because of your support and your viewership, we are able to keep inviting guests. So please help us smash the cute little like button. With that, see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.